Hi guys, and welcome to my review for the Punch Audio Portazo. I've had this IEM now for quite a while. I want to thank Linsoul for having sent me this unit. It's the second IEM from Punch Audio. The first one was the Martillo, and both the Portazo and the Martillo, they share the company's let's say house tuning, which is a strong emphasis on the bass. The packaging, I'm not going to take you through the packaging. It's a normal packaging, nothing out of the ordinary. It brings the same case as the Martillo brings. It's a nice case with plenty of size, pretty decent accessories, nice tip selection. The cable has got an exchangeable termination. The cable itself, decent enough, nothing out of the ordinary. The shells are full resin shells. With this very nicely done and unique faceplate, which basically it kind of every unit is going to have, although the let's say the appearance is always the same, each one of them is going to have their individual, let's say, ultimate or final look. They're comfortable, they fit really nice. I mean, it's a nicely done IEM in terms of its construction. Proper resin shell, nicely handcrafted faceplate, solid, fits well. The accessories package is complete, so there's really nothing that I can fault with regards to that part of the issue of the, or let's say, of the IEM. With regards to price, it's $189, so it's big money. All right, it's big money. It's entering territory of 1+4s and even some tribrids and so on and so forth. And for just a 1+2, one single DD and two microplanars, it's a big money. It's not going to, it cannot be considered a let's say a price which is got a high value to value ratio. Okay, I would have, to be honest, and jumping ahead a little bit, I think if Punch Audio had been able to place this at $150, this Portazo could have caused some serious damage. Obviously, it does have its positive points. It does have its reason of being, but I think a more competitive price, which I'm sure that it could have been done, would have made this a very solid contender. Anyway, I've got here what to compare or to talk about against the Portazo. Being an IEM that's just using a DD and then microplanars, two of them in this case. There's not a lot of other IEMs which share this similar configuration. The Canta from QEars is one of them, but that's $89, so it's $100 there. So I thought it just didn't make sense to compare it with that. So I decided to bring out the Queen of Audio Cloudscape, okay, which is 1+1. It's microplanar and the single DD, and this is priced at about $120. So still cheaper than the Portazo, but closer, edging towards it. And then I've got two other IEMs here, which I feel kind of reminded me a lot of the Portazo and its strong bass forward signature. One is the Intuara Impact single DD, priced at about $80, and the other is the ICO OH10S, priced at about $189. So roughly the same price, and that's a 1+1. Anyway, talking about here the Portazo and going through things in just to give you a general idea. In terms of the bass, the Portazo has been tuned with a bass emphasis. You could say it's definitely a bass head signature due to its 15 dB gain, especially in the sub bass, where it really shines. I mean, it's got some serious sub bass capabilities, but the impressive thing about it is that it's been so well done, so well tuned, that it's not a sub bass monster where bass is just overwhelming and it just kind of smothers the rest of the frequency range. And I think again, the reason for that is the fact that they use two microplanars to kind of try and counteract that. However, the other interesting part is, although you have this huge bass presence, this is kind of very much we've seen this usage of very big bass, sub bass boost from a few other brands, but done in this manner, where that emphasis is well below the 50 hertz, well below the 50-60 hertz point. And the 100 hertz point, which is that point which I like usually taking into consideration, when I take that 100 hertz point here and I compare it to where it corresponds to the rest of the frequency range, I have to say that, let me 1 second here, just here we go. That 100 hertz point corresponds to roughly 3 kilohertz. So the meat and potatoes of the tuning is actually being very well done. Let's put it that way. But anyway, it's got very big sub-bass focus. But nevertheless, it's got enough mid-bass impact to give it energy and weight to the music. So genres like hip-hop, EDM, pop, all that kind of really come across phenomenally well. Mids, vocals are present, they warm, they got that organic feel to it, although sometimes a little bit recessed due to that very V-shaped type of signature that we have, that very strong emphasis on the sub bass. But because of the reason of the fact that they're using the microplanars, everything still becomes the mids are still very intelligible, they're still very clean, they're still very detailed, and again, it's this matching of that big sub bass with those two microplanars. It's been well done. Treble or higher frequencies, it's bright, it's airy, really good extension. They don't take extension out as far as they could have in an attempt to avoid then harshness and loss and then the losing of that elegance of the treble being done in a way that it's detailed. I didn't find it to be overly bright. I thought it just was clean, detailed, and kept up beautifully with the sub bass. And on the other end as well, the sub bass being as pronounced as it is, it does help make the treble then clean up and become that class type of treble, that classy type of treble presentation, which is clean, detailed, but never offensive, never aggressive, never harsh. Okay. So I mean, you can basically, by what I've just said before, you can consider this a V-shaped a signature with strong bass and highlighted highs, you could put it that way, and slightly recessed mids here and there with certain songs, providing overall an engaging and fun presentation to music. It's a great IM to listen to if energetic listening is what you like doing. It's an easy IM to drive to as well. So it's low impedance and high sensitivity, meaning it's going to work well with most portable sources, and you don't really need powerful amplification. And I was able to see that very quickly and notice it very easily. In terms of its technical capabilities, soundstage, imaging, detailed retrieval, micro and macro details, I would say soundstage and it's spacious. It could be a little bit larger, but it's fine. It's spacious. It's got a good separation for its so good detailed retrieval, good imaging, adequate for its price, and even the timbre and tonality, which is what I usually like, was good. I mean, I wouldn't say the technical capabilities, when you consider the $189 price tag, are class leading, no, but they are all adequate for this price. Let's put it that way. There are other IMs which are going to be more competent, without a doubt, but I didn't find that the Portazo 2 in any way be lacking in the let's say technical abilities that it has. Now, the Portazo reminded me very much here of the IVipQ OH10S. They both have that very energetic type of bass presentation, with the IVipQ edging out a little bit more in terms of mid-bass impact, and the Portazo a little bit more sub-bass impact, but they both have that big bass feel. And then in terms of the energy that's placed in the mid-range, in the vocals, very equal. You do notice ever so slightly more the BEA presence here on the IVipQ. I think the microplanars have been very well matched with the DD here in the case of the Portazo, and then in terms of overall extension up top, very equal up to a certain point. I think at higher volumes the Portazo does take the edge ever so slightly, and does show that it's just a little bit more polished in how it does things up top. I mean, it's not a huge difference, mind you, it isn't, but you do notice there's a little bit of a difference. If I have to give an ultimate kind of feel for the two of them, they are, in my opinion, kind of on their way. Well, one is already kind of a reference in a 1+1 configuration, which is the IVipQ OH10S, while this is kind of going to probably become a reference in terms of what a DD with a microplanar should be sounding like if you want this more energetic type of feel, or of presentation tuning. There's not a lot of IEMs which have this configuration. There's, I mean, the BQ EYZ Frost, which I was going to also put it here, and if you guys ultimately do want me to compare, obviously I will bring it out. That's got a more neutral, more type of audiophile type of presentation, and I thought that the ones that I got here are more closely matched in that more fun and energetic type of sound production. In terms of its technicalities, I would say timbre and tonality, I'll give it to the ICO. Soundstage and imaging, they basically trade blows. Detail retrieval, the edge goes here to the Portazo. So, you know, the verdict here is they're very equally matched. They cost the same amount of money. One has been around for way longer than the other, obviously. This came out in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But they are both very competent IEMs. And like I said, if anything, really, if anything, and considering the current market, which is so competitive, if Punch Audio had placed this at a lower price, I mean, they, in my opinion, would have really caused some havoc. They would have definitely made themselves... it would have been a more well received IEM. I'm sure about that. As for the Intuara, the Impact, they again, and the Portazo, the Impact and the Portazo have the same sort of bass, the same sort of sub bass focused energy, ever so slightly more on the side of the Portazo, but honestly really not noticeable. And then the whole meat and potatoes, the frequency up to about 4.5 kilohertz, very much the same. They're very equal. 4 kilohertz, they're very equal. From there up is where the Impact falls behind, and there's not as much twinkles and sparkles up top. That ultimately means what? That both have this warm kind of signature, yes, but the Portazo is capable of giving you that extra little twinkles and sparkles, and thus soundstage is superior to the Impact. Imaging about the same, detailed retrieval better on the Portazo, resolution better on the Portazo, timbre and tonality better on the Impact. Considering the price of the Impact, and again, like I said, this is not really a comparison. You can't fault it, and ultimately, I'm going to give them again the same sort of positioning. You know, they kind of match each other, and it's not one is better than the other, because I mean, not only is the configuration different, but the price and everything. But like I said, ultimately they kind of share the same sort of dynamics, the same sort of sound. If you like the Impact, you can think of the Portazo as an Impact with a more treble extension, more detail up top, but very well done. Not done in a manner where it becomes aggressive, but no, done in a manner which is, you know, it's very, very classy, very nice to listen to. It's very easy to listen to and not get tired or fatigued of listening to the Portazo. Finally, comparing the Portazo to the Cloudscape, and I think this is probably, you know, the comparison that makes the most sense to a certain extent. But I mean, there's still this big price difference between the two of them. As I said, the Portazo has got this bass forward and dynamic sound signature, you know, sub bass, loads of rumble, decently impactful and punchy mid bass. The mids are warm, you know, a little bit recessed here and there, but nothing, you know, nothing that's you know, deal breaker. The treble is extended, clear, you know, no peaks. It's got great detail, great air, without becoming fatiguing or anything of the sort. So it gives you that nice, fun, engaging presentation. As for the Cloudscape, the bass is warm, it's smooth, it's boosted and full-bodied, but a little bit less, let's say, physical than the Portazo. The mids are more organic, more natural. I would say better executed mids, because they are more well matched to the bass that we have here on the Cloudscape. Treble, it's clean, it's detailed, it's not overly smooth, it's overly bright, my apologies. And again, very easy to listen to and non-fatiguing. I would say the Cloudscape, in terms of overall treble, a little bit more recessed, or a little bit less energetic rather than the Portazo, but the treble is also very well done. And I mean, the similarities between the two tunings is quite it's quite impressive. Where you notice the biggest difference is with vocals, and female and male vocals, they sound more organic, more natural on the Cloudscape than on the Portazo, where you can on occasion feel that slight recess of the mids. But I mean, it's not a deal breaker, or it's not like a huge difference, day and night difference. Overall, the sound here on the Cloudscape is slightly more musical, a little bit more laid back as compared to the Portazo. The Portazo is all about a very energetic but very well done presentation. So, like, if just to kind of give again a final comparison between these two, we have punchy, bass heavy, while we have warm, smooth bass presentation. We have mids which are warm and detailed and but slightly recessed, more full-bodied, more neutral and more naturally neutral, if you want to put it that way. Just more organic, I guess. Treble extended on both of them, equally smooth on both, non-fatiguing on both of them, maybe just a little bit extra detail here. Which is ultimately the best? Look, there is definitely, I mean, this is for more energetic genres, this is for more easy listening. That's definitely a reality there. Now, when you consider the price and the difference of roughly 60 odd dollars, I would say that the one that would make the most sense would be the Cloudscape. Honestly, I do think it does take well to a little bit of extra bass if you want to tune in a little bit more bass, and I think it's overall the one that ticks the right boxes, accessories, build, everything, as much as does the Portazo. Now, obviously, having said that, and if you like just that more energetic listening altogether, and you're not going to be more focused on that more easygoing listening that the Cloudscape is all about, then okay, then just go for the Portazo. Who knows, you maybe even might get some coupons, some discount coupon or something of the sort. Then the Portazo will be the one to go for. But the reality is they are both excellent. They are it's like I said, the biggest problem here for the Portazo is the price. If the price was $140, $150, I would tell you straight away, go for the Portazo. No, the price there's a big price hike here. And I don't feel that price hike, even considering the few points where the Portazo does edge out the Cloudscape, are significant or solid enough to justify it. That's ultimately my takeaway here. But look, that's my opinion. This is just me. You guys will ultimately decide. The reality is this is just the second product from Punch Audio. Both products that they launched last year, this and the Martillo, are really well done. They have a particular crowd that they are focusing on. They are well built. Everything is done, they've done their homework, okay, like I like to say. And in this particular case, if you like the IVipQ or XINHS, you, I think, will definitely like the Portazo. It's got that same vibe. If you have the Into Outer Impact, we've got the same sort of vibe here on the Portazo, just with the extra detail up top. And comparing it with the Cloudscape, they're the same sort of overall vibe, just with minor differences here and there, and it's the price here that ultimately will be the deciding factor. All right. Anyway, let me just quickly show you the graphs and we'll wrap it up.